Good evening, everyone. My name is Colette Gelwicks. I'm the chair of the Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee. Today is September 30th, 2025, and the time is 6:01. And we have quorum, so this meeting is called to order. Welcome to any members of the public and anyone dialing in virtually. All right, as a reminder, the role of this committee of community volunteers is to advocate for the vision, goals, policies, and strategies of the Odenton Town Center Master Plan. We have a very robust agenda tonight. So I want to invite everyone to be mindful of the space they are taking up during discussion so that everyone has a chance to contribute. And in addition, if discussion runs long, I may need to step in to move us forward. So please prioritize your comments. All right, so moving on, let's confirm the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Sandy. Is there a second? Thank you, Abigail. All in favor? Okay.
And yeah, we just need Martin and Andrew, if you can also vote online.
Either show us, like raise your hand or indicate somehow. All right. Don't know who the thumbs up is from, but are there any nays?
That was me.
Okay, thank you. All right, excellent. So the agenda is approved. And then we need to approve the August 2025 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the meetings from the August 26th meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Jason. Is there a second? Thank you, Brenda. All in favor? Great. And excellent. All right, wonderful. The meetings are approved. So our first item on the agenda tonight is a presentation on the Mark Station parking garage. Are we ready for that?
Still waiting for John here.
Okay.
Yep.
Should we move on to the next item and then switch that up?
Exactly what I was going to recommend.
Excellent. All right. Well then, in that case, Kaylee and Amy, you guys are up. Or Kaylee then in that case.
All right.
Welcome,
How
surprise.
do you...
Good timing on your part.
So this is our President and CEO, Amy Gowan, who is I'm going to be presenting, but she's joining to meet the group and any Q&A that we have. I'll let you. Do you want me to just present from here, Mark? Or?
I'm happy to advance if you want to just give me a nod or.
Let me just pull it up here too.
Yep.
Okay, so hello everyone. I think everybody is familiar with me. My name is Kaylee De La Puente. I am the Town Center Revitalization Manager with Arundel Economic Development Corporation. And we thank you for the opportunity to present tonight on, to provide an economic development overview on Odenton Town Center. I do have our President and CEO, Amy Gowan, here with me. Don't know if you want to give.
Oh, sure. Well, thanks for having us. I like to get out to the community whenever possible to kind of just hear from each of you, hear what your interests are, hear what your concerns are. I thought this would be a really great opportunity since Kaylee was going to present tonight. So I'm here if you have, and I'm sure you're in good hands with Kaylee, but if anything else comes up and you want to discuss them, I'm here for whatever conversations you'd love to have. So thanks for inviting us.
Okay, so moving forward, a brief overview of our presentation today. I'll give a quick overview of Arundel Economic Development Corporation, an overview of our business retention, expansion, and attraction efforts in Anne Arundel County, a general overview of Anne Arundel County's economic outlook, a review of Odenton Town Center's strengths, challenges, and opportunities as reflected in the Town Center Master Plan that we're all familiar with, and an overview of the economic climate in Odenton Town Center with a brief comparison to other town centers such as Glen Burnie and Parole Town Center. And lastly, I'll touch on placemaking opportunities in Odenton Town Center.
Sorry to interrupt real quick. I believe you're sharing your screen, and we were on Zoom. I believe you're sharing your screen, so it's still in.
Oh, I'm not even logged in on anything. I'm just looking for myself. Is he?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, can you put it in presentation mode?
Yeah.
Oh, so on his end it wasn't sharing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
It wouldn't be a meeting without technical difficulties, so.
I'm like, I'm just on my own over here. I'm not sharing with anything.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
Okay. So the mission of Anne Arundel Economic Development Corporation, or AAEDC, which I'll say from now on, is to foster diverse economic growth by empowering businesses, expanding employment opportunities, and revitalizing communities. As the go-to partner, we connect businesses in Anne Arundel County with key resources to thrive. And just to note, this mission is fresh and on the top of our mind, as it was recently formulated and created in our strategic planning process. We just finalized our 2025 to 2030 strategic plan, so this is fresh. Our structure, moving forward, we are a nonprofit 501c3. We were privatized and spun out of county government in 1993, and we have 18 employees. And we serve as a central hub for businesses. That's those starting or expanding in Anne Arundel County. And we offer a variety of free assistance and resources. That includes access to capital, business development, an accelerator program, real estate and regulatory guidance, workforce training, community revitalization, market research, networking building, marketing, and promotion. Okay, that's where we're gonna go. One of our core initiatives is business retention, expansion, and attraction. And so the way it works in Anne Arundel County and with AAEDC, we do not go it alone. Business attraction in Anne Arundel County prospects typically come from the Department of Commerce, and AAEDC works with them in partnership to secure deals. We have other strategic partners such as the Greater Baltimore Committee, the Maryland Economic Development Corporation, and the Maryland Economic Development Agency. And again, I'll go back to our recent strategic plan that outlined our BREA initiatives, which include to provide entrepreneurship and small business support, develop focused industry support, serve as a business advocate, and provide workforce support. This is where I thought I was going. Lastly, another core part of our activity is our lending programs. That includes low interest loan programs to support business and commercial real estate acquisition, expansion, leasehold improvements, equipment, and working capital. This traditionally is what's called our Vault Loan Fund, which ranges from $25,000 to $500,000 and is for businesses all across Maryland. We also have our Next Stage Tech Fund for Anne Arundel County-based technology companies. And traditionally, this program has been used to support technology companies in the national security space and to help them get to the next stage of growth. We also have a growth fund for high growth, innovative, and technology product companies in Maryland. We have microloans for small minority-owned, women-owned, and veteran-owned businesses in Maryland. And the microloans, I believe, up to $50,000. And then lastly, we have a zero interest property improvement financing loan program. That is what's called our ACR loan, Arundel Community Reinvestment Loan. That is a zero interest facade improvement loan that supports facade improvements in the county's commercial revitalization areas. And next, okay. So next we're gonna go into a very high-level view of the economic outlook for Anne Arundel County. As we know, that could be a much longer presentation and conversation, but I was provided with some data points that I think would be helpful from our team. So, first off, unlike the state of Maryland, which saw its bond rating slip slightly by one bond agency, Anne Arundel County maintained its AAA bond rating for the second year in a row by all three major bond rating agencies. Next up, we have a statistical overview that compares, that shows Anne Arundel County, Maryland versus the United States. These are all fresh data points. This is from the 2024 U.S. Census ACS one-year estimate that was actually just released, so this is fresh data. A few economic indicators for Anne Arundel County. The population of Anne Arundel County surpassed 600,000 in 2024. The median age rose from 3.4% to 39.8 years. From 2023 to 2024, we did see the number of households decrease in the county, while at the same time we saw the vacancy rate of housing units increase from 0.4% to 1%. Median household income in Anne Arundel County increased also by 9%. And the unemployment rate has held steady in the 2 to 3% range. That's about on par with the state of Maryland, and better than the national rate, which has hovered in the 4% range this year. Next up, median household income. Anne Arundel County always tends to skew a little bit higher in this category area. We rank 4th in Maryland among counties with a population of 65,000 or more, and 26th in the United States among counties with 65,000 or more. And as far as the housing market goes, since 2015, we've seen a steady rise in median sale prices of homes. Post-COVID, we saw the number of homes sold plummet from 12,000 to 7,000 in 2023, but we are beginning to see that trend move upwards. We saw that in 2024, upward movement to 7,338. This year, through August of 2025, sales have dropped 2.4% compared to 2024, but the median selling price has increased almost 3%. And much of this is attributed to low inventory on the market and the rise in interest rates. Next up, for the commercial market, countywide, we have seen a decline in the number of commercial permits over the past few years. You'll see a peak in 2022. However, throughout the first 2 quarters of 2025, we've actually seen an 18% increase in the new commercial permits issued, as well as an increase in the number of mixed-use permits issued. And as far as the commercial real estate market, comparing countywide average commercial vacancy rates from 2023 to 2024, we saw a rise in office, flex, and industrial, but a decrease in vacant retail space. Okay. So now we're going to turn our sights from Anne Arundel County back to Odenton Town Center's economic climate. I'm going to talk about the strategies, challenges, and opportunities as cited in the 2024 Odenton Town Center Master Plan, because they were well thought out. We agree, and I think it's worth revisiting those. Strengths: proximity to Fort Meade and BWI, MARC train access, geographic location next to transportation routes, and historic heritage. The challenge: sense of place, walkability, bikeability, and connectivity, traffic congestion, retail options, environmental issues. And I wanted to reference this starting line from the master plan. While Odenton Town Center has experienced significant residential growth in recent years, development and redevelopment have been slow to densify and connect the surrounding area to the community's core. I think that sums it up. Opportunities: transit-oriented development, transportation alternatives, public amenities, development, redevelopment, and revitalization. Opportunity sites for development and redevelopment. This is a list we developed for this presentation. And I think it matches a lot of also what you would see in the master plan. Of course, the Maryland Department of Transportation property. The RFPs for the west lot are currently being reviewed by Maryland Department of Transportation. I believe they have shared those responses with Anne Arundel County also. And we're not sure unless Mark is, but hopefully the development partner will be selected somewhere in the next month or so. There are other state and county-owned public parking lots near the MDOT property that have potential. There's the Anne Arundel County Department of Public Works that DPW will be relocating in 2027, which will open up that site for any opportunities. Persistently, there's the volunteer fire department, which really is in need of more space, but at the same time would really need some financing for relocation and build-out costs. And then lastly, there's Flats 170 at Academy Yards, which I believe is phase 2, preliminary plan review. Okay. Next, we're gonna do some review and comparisons of the Odenton Town Center, possibly versus the Glen Burnie Town Center and the Parole Town Center, any similarities or differences and what we can learn there. These are very different town centers, so it's kind of hard to have a conversation that compares apples to apples in this. However, we did think there are some notable points. Next. So, Odenton Town Center is larger, a less dense area. Unlike the Parole Town Center, the Odenton Town Center was not established by one central developer, which is what you see in the Annapolis Town Center area. To its advantage, it is the Odenton Town Center is the only one with a formal advisory committee structure. The Odenton does lead in the amount of industrial space and comes in further behind on the amount of office space it has compared to Glen Burnie and Parole. In general, commercial rent per square foot, Odenton falls somewhere between Glen Burnie and Parole. And the Odenton retail vacancy rate seems to be lower actually than Glen Burnie and Parole. And in Odenton, it's actually trending lower than the 10-year average, unlike the other two communities. And this is all CoStar data. Moving forward, just a visual of the 3 town centers as a map. Odenton Town Center, moving forward, Glen Burnie Town Center, and Parole Town Center. And, okay. Lastly, I wanted to discuss possible placemaking opportunities for Odenton Town Center. I think it's notable that the county is making some steps to take a bit of a more hands-on approach in placemaking opportunities in its town centers and commercial revitalization areas. This can be seen in the recently completed Glen Burnie Town Center placemaking initiative, which we just completed, and I'll talk more about that, but we really think that's established a bit of a template that the county can use to bring placemaking opportunities to other town centers and commercial revitalization areas. As far as Odenton goes, excitingly, we did submit a grant application to the Department of Housing and Community Development for their Community Legacy Grant Program in hopes to get a pocket of funding for placemaking opportunities in Odenton Town Center. As part of that scope in that application, we had signage, wayfinding, branding, public art opportunities, and also developing that application, we thought about some targeted locations that might be right for placemaking opportunities. This list is a starting point, by no means is it exhaustive. We have Odenton Public Park, the Village at Odenton Station Shopping Center, the Odenton Historic District, the Mark Station, Odenton Town Center Gateway locations. And I think it's important to emphasize that placemaking opportunities in Odenton Town Center and in any community really require a broad coalition of stakeholders. So looking at this, possible additional stakeholder members might be people like the Odenton Heritage Society, Central Maryland Chamber, the Volunteer Fire Department, local businesses and residents, schools, PTAs, and so on. And moving forward, I did want to touch on how our placemaking initiative in Glen Burnie Town Center, what we did there, lessons learned, and resources we think we might be able to bring to Odenton. We did have, again, Maryland DHCD Community Legacy Funding for a project that we implemented between 2023 and 2025. And again, you'll see there was a long list of county agencies and community partners that were touched by this project. And moving forward. So we kicked off with a branding and logo creation process. And the reason for that is we found out that Glen Burnie Town Center wasn't really identified as a term except kind of in planning terms. In the community, it's where the ice rink is. Oh, okay. It's where this business is. But the name wasn't very well known and it didn't have a brand and a logo. So we started there. You'll see the logo there. We utilized the logo on about 35 street pole banners that we installed throughout the town center. Next up. We also use that on wayfinding and parking signage that we also installed throughout the town center. And next, we identified opportunities for public art. This might be being painted right now, if you're still there. This is Rotary Park in Glen Burnie Town Center. That's a county-owned mini parklet space, and that's a commercial property privately owned. And we've really found that when you bring in these high-quality public art projects, they really become an asset for the community, and they become kind of a placemaker, an identifiable, oh, it's by that, you know, it really becomes an asset for the community. And side note, we will be having a ribbon cutting for that, or a mural unveiling in about 2 weeks in Glen Burnie Town Center. The 8th, 9th, when did we go with that? 15th. 15th. So Commissal Brown is the artist, so just shameless plug for that. Lastly, and what took up the bulk of this project was a space activation project. This is Glen Burnie Town Center Plaza. It is the largest open public space in the town center. You can see it's got a lot of opportunities there. It's got a beautiful water fountain. It's used for an ice rink in the winter. But what it didn't have is really any amenities to attract people to the site, to keep people in the site longer, and to make people want to do events in the site. So we partnered with an organization called Better Block to create and install a temporary site plan that was really rich with amenities for the public. Go to the next slide. I think it's a little easier to see it on this site plan view. The most identifiable thing is the color added to the space, the painting, the mural element of it. But also we have shade, seating, lighting, a space for vendors, a stage, and a shipping container that can actually be used as a pop-up space for a vendor, for an event manager, for many different things. And I'll just show you a closer picture of each of those elements. Here you can see the vendor stall, and that was an important part of the site plan because actually the space hosts the farmer's market. So we wanted the site plan to be an asset to the events already taking place there, to get more people at those events too. So that was part of the impetus for doing a vendor stall space. Next up, stage and shade. You can see there's the stage area, that blue area in the background. And then on the right, you see an example of they're called shade loungers, seats and shade. And lastly, and what I think is one of the most unique elements of the site plan is our shipping container. And you can see it's specifically built out for this kind of thing, to be a pop-up kind of vendor space. You could use it, there's many purposes. When we were there for the farmer's market, we used it as our event kind of hub and gave out materials. The picture to the right is from the town center, the Better Block kickoff, when the space was completed. And that's Artsy Partsy, a local arts organization that kind of set up shop in there for the day and had their little shop and their activities and a whole bunch of stuff they were doing with the community in there. And that is it from me. And we are happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Yeah.
Do we have, is John online?
John is, yes.
Okay, all right, so we have 8 minutes for questions, guys.
I'm sorry.
Who would
if I
like
went
to
too- I'm
begin?
sorry if I went too
No,
long.
it was fascinating. That was really
I hope
great.
so.
Go ahead, Abigail.
For the legacy grant you mentioned, is that related at all to the Just Communities designation? Because I know parts of Odenton is considered a Just Communities designation.
That would have been that's kind of newer, as I understand, and that would have been after we applied for this.
Okay.
And I don't think those pots of money have been connected yet. There might be like a separate funding pot with Just Community label on it. It's still being,
Okay. And then, I know one question that's come up a lot with the committee has been about making this area be attractive to possible developers. So I was curious to understand if there's outreach that's done to attract people, if the EDC does some type of outreach to promote why to come to this area.
I think that'd be a question for Amy. I know there's a number
Well,
of
actually,
events.
so, one of the things that I was just gonna mention is, prior to 2023, there wasn't a Kaylee. There wasn't that position, and her position didn't exist within the county. And in 2023, the county gave us funding to hire a town center revitalization manager. So that really kickstarted our entree into all the work that's being done in the town centers. Glen Burnie was a step ahead because they already had a revitalization plan in place. So it was a natural evolution for once we got a town center revitalization on board to say, here's a plan, let's start implementing it. That had been done with the council member and the community and the county, it was already, kind of put in place. So, so we kind of started there, but I think that, like, as you see, we've made a lot of progress with Glen Burnie, and as Kaylee mentioned, we just launched a strategic plan for the next 5 years. It was just launched in July, and one of the key revitalization goals, which is one of our 3 core areas of growth for us, is to take those lessons learned, the template that she mentioned, and start applying that into other town centers in the community. Odenton being the next one up, because you have the structure in place. There is momentum with the MDOT RFP that's out and being involved in that. So I think some of this was showing you what's been done in Glen Burnie, because we'd love to take some of that and start applying it here. And that's why we applied for this last round of DHT funding for Odenton alone, and we did any other funding for Glen Burnie this round.
Can you add all the events that you've tabled and attended where we go out and talk about Anne Arundel County to the larger community? The names are all those large conferences that.
Like ICSC?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah, we
kind of what I'm
do.
talking about.
I mean, we do market the county holistically, and obviously if there are businesses that are interested when we're doing attraction, we're marketing specific areas, but it really depends on, what the business is looking for, where they're looking to locate. Of course, we work closely with Fort Meade, and trying to make sure that their workforce needs are met through, multimodal connections and housing, et cetera. So.
That was one of my questions, as far as what companies are you really looking into bringing them in? Anything specific?
So at a granular level, as Kaylee mentioned, we've been very kind of reactive to our business attraction, where Department of Commerce, State of Maryland, they'll get leads and then they'll come to us and we'll work in coordination with them to try to incentivize the company to move to Anne Arundel County. With the strategic plan, we really wanted to look at what are our core industries that we want to focus attraction efforts on moving forward, and then develop a more prospective attraction program. And so the industries that were identified, and it was all done with a market economic analysis, so if anyone is interested in looking at the data, there's a lot of data in there, please do so, it's on our website. But the core industries that we identified were, that have growth potential, were aerospace, cyber and tech, logistics, healthcare, and one that's escaping me. Cyber technology, logistics, transportation are one the same, healthcare. Manufacturing, so those are the growth areas that we're gonna be targeting because we think that they have growth potential. They have the potential to grow within our county, and there's a lot of emerging technology and emerging industry there. We have what we identify as our critical kind of foundational sectors, and those include manufacturing, agriculture, construction, hospitality, like retail and accommodation. Those are steady, that's the preponderance of our jobs in the county, and they hold pretty steady. But then we have our high growth industries that we think that are on the horizon because of either national trends or regional trends, or because of our competitive position in the region.
And I'm happy to, can I share that with the group after the meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, great. So Stuart and then Martin.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for both for being here. When's the last time you guys attended the International Council Shopping Center event either in Vegas or Washington, D.C.?
So we typically go every year. We did take this last year off, we had a variety of personal and professional conflicts. But we do go every year, and we're going back this year. We're already registered. But yeah, we have a presence there annually.
I'll be brief on that, which isn't typical me. So, from start to finish in Glen Burnie, the space that transitioned the open space into what you have today, how long did that take? Because we have a park that we started in 1999 and it hasn't started yet.
We're getting there though.
The temporary activation?
So, this was a temporary installation. And the cool thing about this model is that people are a lot quicker to jump on temporary installations. The community can put their eyes on a site, see the possibilities for a site, get behind a site, get excited about a site. That tends to lead, and we hope it will in this case, to, and there's already permanent funding for permanent installation in Glen Burnie. That's going to be a multi-year process too. But this model is quite can move quicker, I think.
Okay.
And it can inform so that you don't waste any time with permanent infrastructure that doesn't fit, wasn't vetted for the community, isn't really a good fit. So to actually answer the question, 2024 to 2025.
Okay.
Because I started in 2020, so started in 2023, but 2024 to 2025.
So, I've been at this a long time, since the early 90s. And we tried to have the flag program to create identity, and the county wasn't supportive of it. We couldn't get funding for it. There was an effort through the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm wondering who funded the flags during Glen Burnie, and how can we get something like that done sooner rather than later? We really don't have a chamber in the area anymore. We don't have a body. It's a chamber-like activity to champion these things through. So what's that opportunity look like?
We have a Kaylee now.
Yes. So we're a little bit more, we're convening a bit more around these issues. Multi-departments are convening together. There's, someone on staff to kind of keep focus on the value of placemaking and its importance. And we're trying to make this, which is a little bit newer to Anne Arundel County, make this work with all the different department policies. So, and it's going better. We funded that through DHCD, the street pools. We are now in-house doing a little bit of maintenance with money we've generated from the farmers market we did at the space. I didn't even mention that. We managed the farmers market all season in this newly created space. We're hopeful that we'll have a Main Street designation in the future to give a little pot of money for some maintenance. I have heard about different things, that there might be some history with permissions for street pole banners. But with this as a very successful and loved project, there might be more open ears to that kind of thing.
It
So
would
I'm
be-
sorry, we need to move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
it would
So-
just be great when you do one area that you can think of it more globally rather than just a small specific area.
Yep.
Include the other town centers.
And Kaylee and Amy, I know that we don't have a lot of time for discussion today, unfortunately, but can we email additional questions and comments? Because I know I have a list as well, so, Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This is kind of taking on to Abigail's comment a little bit about how to get, businesses into Odenton, or the kind of businesses that we want or opportunities. And that's all great. I think we're kind of talking about specifics on the call today. But a bigger view of this might be, how do we develop a livable city? So it's not just about what kind of factories we can bring into Odenton Town Center. It's about education, it's about learning, it's about shopping, exploring, and connecting with nature. So the Economic Development Corporation, thanks for your presentation today. But how are you integrating with transportation needs, with some of the ideas I mentioned here about education, learning, nature, and so on? How are you creating a strategy to incorporate those kind of things together with economic development? Where is the larger strategic plan?
Well, I guess I would, and some of those things are touched on in our strategic plan, so, if you have a chance, I, would very much welcome folks to take a look at it. We do try to identify where we're the lead and then where we play a secondary and support role. And so while we are involved, like I sit on the county executive's housing sub-cabinet and I sit on the county's transportation committee as well. So we're involved, our tentacles are in all these, I will say, policy areas that are connected to economic development. But maybe we're not the primary lead on them, we just have input and influence into the decisions that are being made there.
Just one final question real quick. I think there was some discussion within the committee some while ago about what kind of businesses belong in Odenton, put that in quotes, or what kind of businesses would be attracted to Odenton. Have you identified that? Do you know, where the market is for Odenton, or is that something we have to create?
We have not done a specific market analysis for Odenton. I don't know, was one done in Glen Burnie as part of that process?
One was done in Glen Burnie through DHCD operating fund.
So what I mean here is that if we don't know where we're going and we just start putting banners up or things like that, it doesn't really address what we're trying to do in Odenton. So I think we need to figure out, what is it we want to bring to Odenton, what is possible to bring to Odenton, and then target those markets.
Your point is well noted, Martin. We're aware of that too. This is a piece that we kind of had in Glen Burnie.
Okay.
We are trying to find, I think, opportunities to also we don't have funding for like a market analysis
Yeah,
or things
we
like that,
did a
but
countywide market analysis, but we
Right.
have not drilled down, nor do we have really the resources at our disposal. We had to hire a consultant to do the market analysis for the county, so
Yeah.
that's something you would need to, you as a, I would say, as a committee would need to, or maybe if we could get funding through a grant program to hire someone. But there are firms that will do that, like primary trade area market analysis, your secondary trade area, and they'll look at where there are saturations of certain types of services and goods and where there is more demand. But that's not something that has been done to date.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks so much.
Well, thank you both. I feel like we could probably spend the entire meeting chatting with you. Unfortunately, we do need to learn more about the garage. And so if we could get contact information, Mark and Sam, if you're able to send that out so that, and I think we have Kaylee's email already, so that we can send any additional questions, feedback, comments your way.
Or I can collect all the questions and comments and then.
That works too.
I am gonna share the strategic plan with Mark maybe, and you can distribute it.
That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you. All right, so moving on, John, you're here to share about the parking garage.
Yes, I am. And apologies earlier that my technology wasn't working so well. Hopefully everyone can see my screen here.
Yes.
Yes. So good evening, Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee members. My name is John Chanakos, the Director for Real Estate Development and Construction for the Maryland Economic Development Corporation. I'm here to give you an update on the Odenton Garage project. I'll be walking through some requests for relief from requirements that came up in the last series of review comments from the county related to the development site plan review process, reiterate some of the proffers that the garage is bringing in furtherance of the said relief, and then highlight a few big picture design changes that are the direct result of some subsequent conversations and comments received to date. So without any further ado, I will proceed. So just orientation slide here. Did my best to cut out a Google Earth image, but I'm sure many of you are familiar with the particular location known as the West Lot. Obviously, Medco is partnering with Anne Arundel County and the Department of Transportation in developing and constructing the new parking garage located on the West Lot at the Odenton Mark train station in Odenton. This is the first phase of a larger TOD, as everyone's aware. Future phases of this are being led by Department of Transportation and solicited to private developers, which is currently underway. There will be 7 kind of requests for relief that I'll note in here. I don't know whether you want me to quote chapter and verse each time I go through, and or just summarize each panel here, but I can do either way, whatever the preference is.
Summarizing in the interest of time.
Understood. So chapter and verse here, relative to frontage requirements along Town Center Boulevard, the requirement being that mixed-use building facades along active fronted edges should fulfill at least 50% of that frontage. We're requesting relief from this requirement, particularly because the garage is located on a parcel that includes the parcel to the section to the north that the TOD developers are developing. We never subdivided lots, so the lot that the garage is on is just described in a ground lease agreement as a legal description, as opposed to a actual subdivided plat itself. I'll show you here. So the plat itself goes all the way out to the edge of Annapolis Road and constitutes all of this land here. So in the ground lease that Medco and the county have, this parcel here is just kind of described in a legal description, not legally separated. And so you can tell just by the dynamics here that we are not fulfilling 50% of the acted frontage. The reason why we're asking for this relief is obviously the TOD developer would be subject to this requirement, and my understanding is that they would fulfill the rest of this active frontage requirement. That is the first relief effort or relief item. Second is deviation, and because there's cross reference in the 2024 OTCMP to the county manuals, I've just tried to use a very broad brush as far as cross-referencing those. So in this particular case, there's requirements in landscape and design manuals, but I'll show you on the next slide. We're requesting relief from these requirements by way of a modification application request that we do have into the county for review currently. The rationale for this request is basically the physical constraints that we have with the site combined with the requirements requested by the state as far as having the garage in close proximity to the ticketing station, as well as feedback that we received from the community as far as height of the garage and certain other elements of the garage. We don't have the space to really comply with the full and complete set of requirements listed here too. And here is the slide to kind of show you specifically what we're talking about. So the modifications in question here are just small deciduous trees in lieu of shade trees due to presence of overhead wires along the street frontage here, as well as a fewer number of small trees due to the space limitations in that space as well. So again, really just trying to work with the manual, its requirements, and the physical limitations of the space that we have.
So John, just quickly then, to get the number of parking spaces that are needed here, it requires a certain space, and that space impinges on the requirement for the tree
Correct.
allowance. Okay.
Correct. We have moved the garage into the southern section of the west lot where it is in this L-shaped configuration due to the request of the state for it to be in proximity to the ticketing station itself so patrons can walk there. We have a requirement that the garage needs to be at least 1,000 spaces, which calls for about 4.5 stories. And we're trying to compress this as much as possible to reserve as much space to the northern section of the west lot to allow the TOD developer to have as much real estate as possible to that section to the north. So with those constraints, the limitations of the garage or the configuration of the garage here, when you take into consideration speed ramps and ramping up, this is the most efficient garage design that we have available for the space allotted. And because of that, we are being pinched a little bit along the roadways, along the Odenton Mark Station driveway, the Kiss and Ride space, as well as around Town Center Boulevard.
Has this grown, John, since the last time we looked at this, or is this something new you thought of, or?
We had highlighted this previously, Martin, as something of a challenge, but we're more specifically describing it here.
Okay, cool.
And if we could let John just go through the presentation process-wise after the presentation, please take notes and this is to the committee members, please take notes on these individual relief numbers, and then we can go through afterwards, one by one, ask questions. We can go back through the slides again and then vote on the individual reliefs being sought as well.
Sounds good. Third relief request is in relation to a note that said when redevelopment occurs along Town Center Boulevard, that opportunities to relocate overhead utilities from the streetscape should be pursued. This was discussed and pursued with BG&E, but the price and time frame associated with the relocation or bearing of these lines was prohibitive for a variety of reasons. Here's just a outline of the overhead lines. This is Town Center Boulevard. There are overhead lines that run adjacent to where the garage would be constructed along and developed along. There's also overhead lines that run across here. The section of these lines actually go across the tracks and are actually medium voltage distribution to high voltage distribution lines. Trying to bury those would be impossible, essentially, because they do bisect the track. These others along the streetscape here, we've been coordinating with BG&E as far as some shifting out of the existing poles, but to bury them would be very expensive per pole.
Do you know how much that was, John?
About $250,000 a piece, I think, is what I recall.
For each pole?
Yeah, you would have to basically excavate this whole entire section, put it in a duct bank, and then relocate the line underground from there. Uh, Moving on to the next, number 4, roof line screening. There was a note in uh, Chapter 3, Section 3C about roof lines that all rooftop mounted solar energy generating facilities should be screened from view. We're requesting relief from this requirement by way of the proffers offered because there are, as everyone knows, solar panels on the roof, but there are sections of it, and I'll show some examples here that we believe will be visible from the, not necessarily Town Center Boulevard all the time or all the way, but we think that with these structures, and hopefully everyone can see my cursor, these structures, and this is the south elevation, these structures sitting about 20 feet above the top of the garage, there is definitely a possibility that portions of the solar panel assembly will be visible from certain vantage points on the ground. We did set back the solar panels from uh, the Kiss and Ride area, Odenton Town Center turnaround, by 30 or 40 feet, so you can't see them from that uh, viewpoint. But as far as the northwest corner and portions of the west corner, you might be able to see, or south north corner of the building, northern portion of the building, you may be able to see the solar array. So we wanted just to call that out ahead of time.
John, it's a quick question. The
Yes.
parking garage in downtown Annapolis has solar panels on the top floor. Is
Yes.
it similar in design to that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually the same design team that designed that very
Okay.
garage.
Okay.
It's a very similar approach from that perspective.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Number 5, maximum frontage setback. This is kind of a cross-reference. The OTC MP on page 55 refers to the county code. The county code, the design manual has a reference to a maximum amount of setback from Annapolis Road. Again, we're asking for release for this requirement by the proffers. This is a similar, and I'll show you here, this is a similar challenge to the 50% active frontage requirement. You can see that, again, because we did not subdivide the lot here, this is all still one parcel. And so fancy that, our garage is more than 45 feet away from Annapolis Road. Go figure. But again, with the understanding that the TOD is developer is actively being bid by the state, and the fact that they are coming up with plans that would be subject to this setback requirement as well, along with the proffers that we have, we are requesting relief from this particular requirement. Frontage improvements around 10 Center Boulevard. So again, you have a reference over here to the cross-referencing between the OTCMP and the design manuals. The items that we're not including in our proposed improvements to Town Center Boulevard are parking lanes. So we believe that having parking spaces along Town Center Boulevard adjacent to the garage would cause it less visibility of pedestrians walking through that space, and we don't have the physical space to do so. The same constraints that I mentioned in a previous comment related to landscaping apply to this. We also do not have a dedicated bike lane because there's not enough road real estate on the road to accommodate those requests. I don't have an image for that, but you could, I guess, going back to this, you can see the fact that there is very limited amount of real estate along this line to provide any kind of dedicated parking or bike lanes from that perspective.
Is there a safe way, John, for bikes to get through there, or how would they manage to get to the station for the
Along the sidewalk area.
sidewalk area?
Mm-hmm. And I'll just, while I flip back over here, Odenton Road, or the Odenton Road area. Again, with the cross-reference, frontage improvements along the Odenton Road section, same limitations that we have from the confines and configuration of the garage applying there. And I'll scroll back up this slide again. You can see that we don't have, with the clearances needed to have a bus and or fire truck access this space and area into and around the garage. Remember that buses will be able to drive under and queue up 1, 2, 3 here under the garage. From that perspective, don't have the same amount of space here to allow for any kind of improvements along this way that would be above and beyond what's shown here in our plans. Switching back over here. That's the seventh and last of the relief requirement requests that we have. I have proffers. If you want to do proffers next, or do we want to pause for questions, or shall I proceed?
I think it would be good if you just proceeded.
Understood. So the proffer is broken up into different categories, land use. So obviously the post parking garage, plaza, bus drop off, covered parking, covered bike parking will provide improvements to amenities for the multimodal transit at the Odenton Mark train station. And obviously this is the first step in helping enable the future TOD. So contributes towards the development of a regional intermodal facility. From a community benefit perspective, just outlining those things individually, covered bus stop, the covered bike spaces, increased bike parking from what's available. So, right now we have 120 spaces that will be provided versus the 75 that would have otherwise been required. So we're over delivering on bike spaces from that perspective. We have rideshare included in our bike parking space. So there'll be an opportunity for folks to be able to use rideshare and rideshare programs. And then we're obviously increasing the number of parking spaces that are currently available in the surface area parking by 293 additional spaces.
Hey, John, this is this is not really related, but the buses inside, is there any concern about emissions from the buses since many will still be diesel?
No, none that I've been brought to my attention. It's a open story, 2-story space in there.
Okay, so
Open
plenty
the
of room
air.
to,
Yep. Also the idea is that buses won't be running the entirety of the time they're under there. You have some
Mhm.
that'll be stopped, and then some that'll be pulling through. So the idea is one queued, loading, one broken down perhaps, and one driving through is the reason why we have space for 3 in there.
Mhm.
But you could also have 2 queuing and 1 running, but the idea is you're not going to have 3 buses idling in that space all at the same time for an extended period.
Okay.
On the conservation proffers, we have EV charging stations. So we have 34 that will be offered versus the 22. There's also embedded capacity to allow for 80 more. That would require some electrical upgrades to the service being provided to the garage, but we have the infrastructure in place as far as conduits, locations, and enough space in the electrical room to expand and accommodate those extra EV charging spots. Native plants. So, I think looking at the schedule, we're at 58%, but if you take into consideration Mid-Atlantic native plants, we're nearly at 97% native planting varieties. Mentioned the 50,000 square feet of solar panels. We are actually, we're going to be bringing more impervious area than is currently out there. So we're going to be eliminating some impervious space out in that area as part of the garage development. And then the garage itself is seeking Park Smart certification, which there are requirements that apply to the construction side of Park Smart, but a lot of that really takes place during operations and making sure that the garage is operated in a very efficient perspective in the long term, water conservation and things like that. Placement of artwork. There's space for civic art that's been designated out in the southeast corner of the garage, and other opportunities have also been identified inside the garage's common areas. There's a large wall near the ticketing office space or the office area, and in the southeast stairwell that faces the railroad tracks, there are several spaces of wall space that we've identified as community art locations. And I know Stuart had provided details related to a rather large art installation that was located temporarily in another spot. So we're trying to still work with the team on our end to see if we can make accommodations for that in the garage from a dimension perspective. So appreciate you sharing that information with us, Stuart. We were hoping that we would have an opportunity for a large mural, bless you, on the north facade of the building, but I'll touch base about that near the end of this presentation as far as some requested design changes that have come up during our discussions. That doesn't appear to be maybe an optimal approach, at least based on some of the conversations we've had. Let's see here, placement of, okay. So a couple of design changes, speaking of which. So there's a requirement that all facades of large buildings visible from adjoining properties should be designated in a manner that visually reduces massive bulk and uniform appearance. As I mentioned, the north facade of the building was initially going to be just an open, unadorned, mostly concrete wall that we were going to have a large public mural painted upon. After consultation with county's permitting office, they noted that that would not be acceptable in their opinion, and so a lateral move was needed. As such, and this is not the corner in question, but this is a southeast perspective of the garage. As such, and I'm providing this for context, we made changes to this northern portion of the garage face. So initially, this was just going to be one large unadorned from an architectural perspective space with a mural on it. We've now adorned that with some elements that are closed, but reminiscent of the other openings throughout the rest of the garage. We still have this open space here if we still wanted to introduce a mural of smaller dimensions there, and or we can just adorn this with brick. That's one of the design changes that has come up as a result of conversations. And here's just here's another.
John, once again, John, the Annapolis Town Center has a nice mural in there. They have what looks like a sailboat mural. That's very attractive there. Is that something that would be considered, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of looking towards the consensus lead here on what you want to, what the collective we wants to see here.
Yeah, whatever's appropriate. Yeah, sure.
From our perspective, I think part of the reason that this was deemed as not acceptable is this: we have a little bit of a setback due to the need for some BG&E equipment that might not necessarily look exactly like this, but it gives you a sense that we are going to be pushed off the edge of that building 20, 30, maybe 40 feet, and not as close with the TOD development as we thought it might be able to be accomplished. And so I think the fear is that there's more significant view shed of this space from the roadway, and thus just having even just a large mural wasn't seen as the best approach. So just flagging that as a change from last time.
I'm confused, John. What are you saying again? You're saying that that space there is not now going to be used for a mural, or what is it?
I mean, we can do one of both ways. We are now adorning it to break up the mass of the space to address the issue at hand. We can continue with this pattern through this, and or put a mural into this space. So kind of looking.
You couldn't do both, and you're saying the modification to the architectural window-like panes there, in addition to a mural, would not be possible? Just one
we could put one in this space here, but just having one large mural was not received positively from the reviewers in the county end.
They would prefer a blank wall?
Something that breaks it up per the requirements of the OTCMP.
How the rest of you feel, but that's a lot of surface there.
So we could continue these along if we wanted to, or put a mural in there. I'm not sure if there's a thought one way or the other.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going, John, because we only have 25 minutes left, including discussion.
I'm nearly done. But thank you for pushing things along. Also want to make one more note. So we've had several conversations related to stormwater management and conversations with the Maryland Department of the Environment. As we were presenting the plans to the MDE team, we were showing them the bike and pedestrian walkway that connects the area to the north of the stormwater management area or wetland buffer area to the garage itself. And upon further inspection, they noted that they don't have current study or testing results or any kind of as-built drawings related to the embankments that and I'll show them here. So these embankment areas in and near the train tracks, MD does not have structured plans or drawings related to these. And because of that, they noted that any disturbance of this embankment area, a la digging or otherwise disturbing it to install a pedestrian or bike pathway, would require that the whole entire embankment area be studied at length to confirm that from an engineering perspective, that would not cause a big picture issue. Considering the amount of time and effort that would go into that, the fact that the garage is highly supported as far as moving forward, and there's a TOD developer involved that is already having, or the developers, I believe, have already started talking about other public improvements that may or may not include a connection here. The overall sentiment from the working group, and you notice that's not one of the proffers that's offered in our incentive list, was to remove this from the project's design so that we can move forward with the garage. And so as it currently stands, that connection, as far as the pathway is concerned, has been eliminated from the project right now to avoid undue delay due to the embankment study and other efforts that would need to go into confirming from an engineering perspective that that's a possibility from that perspective. As a lateral move, the project will be providing a freestanding ramp during the temporary parking section of the garage, because we do intend to move the bus route and the accessible parking spaces to this space here. And so we will be working on delivering a freestanding ramp that will connect from, it would be ADA compliant ramp that connects this space to the platform during the time frame the garage is being built. Once the garage is done being built, we would remove that structure and then eliminate the painting on the compliant parking spots so that those patrons can park inside of the garage itself. It's just my final slide, noting, how this particular project meets the vision's goals, policies and strategy for the Odenton Town Center area.
All right, thank you so much, John. This was a fantastic presentation, and thank you for making it so clear what is being asked and how it aligns with the master plan. This was really very helpful.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to open it up to questions. I think the best way to move forward with this is just to start with the first request, unless you all want to start with the proffers at the end instead. Otherwise, I'd say we go through 1 to 7, ask any questions, vote on those step by step. Does that work for everyone?
Can I present a motion?
I mean, you're always welcome to present a motion, but there may be people that have questions.
That's okay, and they can,
Okay.
I want to try to make it easy. I present a motion to approve every one of these requests. So I don't know if there's a second or a vote, but I'm just putting the motion out there. You've seen this thing so many times.
Well, does anybody have any questions?
So at this point, we need a second before we get to any questions.
Okay, that's fine.
And I don't believe I see a second.
That's okay.
Sorry, but I appreciate
That's
your
sorry.
interest in moving things
That's
forward and getting us out of here early. That's surprising for you, Stuart.
No, it's not. Well.
But thank you. So let's just go to number 1 then. And I mean, if you want to make a motion on this one, go ahead.
Let somebody else do it.
Okay.
My feelings are hurt.
So
You're stronger than that.
So I have a process question for the county actually, so since this is one site, if we approve this modification request, does that automatically put a requirement on the follow-on developer that can we say you must meet the minimum 50% frontage? Or is it possible that they would come back and say, I can't make a 50% frontage, and that would come back through? I'm just trying to make sure that somebody's meeting a 50% frontage, and I don't want the committee to be put in a position where this project doesn't meet it, and the follow-on project doesn't meet it. So can we say yes here, but it's a forceful requirement for the follow-on?
I can't speak for our development division who would make that call. But the design guidelines for the TOD, again, recommend that they meet these types of facade requirements or frontage requirements.
Is it possible for us to make a note for the future committee, when that comes to the committee then, to say, this committee, if let's say we vote to say yes here, recommends that the next committee decline any modification request for less than 50% from the TOD developer.
I think that's tough to do. We don't know why they might not be able to write it. Putting that undue burden on somebody, I think you need to wait for them to come up with a design and then bring that point up. Mark, is this developed as one parcel but two?
That's what John was saying, right? It's a unique situation where, right, it's a two-step process.
But it's one parcel.
One, right, John? One.
Yes, it's one legal parcel, and hence the comments that we received related to it.
So are there going to be one parcel with two, with one and two? And would they be under one master requirement for the single parcel, or are they each individually?
Okay.
That's the question that.
Yes. I don't want the developer to get this modification by default because we're granting it on the parcel.
I see what you're saying.
Yes.
So is this being developed as one parcel where the things are carried forward, or are they starting from scratch?
And they have to come back
And they
to
have-
us with the same.
Well, they will have to come back to us either way.
But I mean, with the same relief request.
They may, and there may be a good reason for it.
But you're
But
saying
I don't
they
want
cannot.
them to get this relief request automatically.
I don't think it will be.
Well, that's more of
That
a
is
sure.
the
Yeah.
process
They're
question.
gonna have to come to us.
I mean, the TOD on the northern part of the site would still be coming in for a site plan approval, like John is for the parking garage, right? Called phase 1, phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, again, by then, John, you may even have a shovel in the ground with an approved plan that shows, I mean, for your site, it is, for your limited disturbance, it is essentially 100%.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, it is 100% of the, more or less of the land that we are touching is being frontaged.
Yep, right. Okay. All right, so let me rephrase. If all the modifications we approve here, are they for this project? And
For
if we
this
say
project.
these are for this
Or for the
project
parcel.
only, they are not
Yes.
for the parcel.
Yeah, so
Yes.
John's project, if you were to go into the county system, is 2025-0001- wherever they are in the process. When the TOD comes in, it would be, let's say they come in next year, 2026-0001, whatever.
Okay.
So they would be two separate projects.
Two separate projects that have to have their own modifications to the
Mhm.
parcel. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect.
So I would think that they would look at, they would look at this and say, okay, in order to meet the 50% frontage requirement, you TOD developer need 31% of this to be covered by frontage. And if not, then they would have to, I would think, similarly present a reason why not.
Right, since John's going first and there's nothing built, the burden's on him, right, or he's receiving the comments from the county. So,
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does. That's
Quick question, okay. I did appreciate the explanation that you gave for all of these points, I really did. Just one question, if you can give me a little bit more clarification on the problem with the burying of the wires, of the lines.
So Brenda, we're gonna get to that. We're
Oh.
gonna go through
We're
these
still,
one by
okay,
one.
we're still on one.
So-
I make a motion to say.
So are there any other questions on this first
No.
request for relief, specifically about the 50% limit? Anything else? Sandy, Abigail? Martin, Andrew, all right, then.
Motion to approve.
Yes, is there a second?
Second.
Sandy, excellent, all right, all in
This is
favor?
the fourth time, fifth time.
Mike.
Okay, Martin, Andrew?
Yes,
Thank you, all right, great. No nays, no abstentions, then motion carries. All right, let's move on to number 2. Any questions on this one?
Okay.
This is regarding the relief with the trees.
Yep.
So just to clarify, it's because the diameter of a shade tree is bigger than the amount of space that you have.
Correct, and the height as well.
Oh, and the vertical has the wires. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have a question with this one, and it's the same thing with number 6, really. The fact that there is no easy way for folks on bikes to get to the ticketing office unless you're driving on the roads or on the sidewalk, which hopefully we have enough pedestrians at that point that that's not really safe. And I know the TOD is not even formed in anyone's mind yet, but do you think that there would be a bike route through that property that would make it easy for someone on a bike to get there? Because I've taken that route on my bike, and the sidewalk is not wide at all. It is not safe to be on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And so having some kind of safe way, I mean, we are trying to build a multimodal hub here. And so not including a safe way for bicyclists to get to the ticketing office is not in line with the entire vision of this project.
Can I, along with that, I just want to say something. So the idea is to get from your bike,
Yeah,
a bike rider, to the garage. Is that correct?
yeah, for 175.
Okay, so at a certain point, and I know there's situations, especially in Redondo Beach, California, where there's a sign that says at this point, you need to get off your bike and you need to walk it along the sidewalk. So just because it's not safe to ride in the street, understood, and riding a bike with pedestrians on the sidewalk isn't the best idea unless it was wide enough,
Yeah.
then it's really just a matter of people need to disembark on their bike and walk it like the rest of the pedestrians into where the bike rack is in the ticket office. And I don't think that's an unreasonable request. I think it's a safety request.
I mean, if we have enough bike racks in here for 100, I don't even know how many it is anymore,
Right.
dozens of bikes.
So what about an alternative? Do we need to have trees there, or could we recommend that use the space where the trees are gonna be, put the bike lane there, because there are plantings alongside the building itself? Do we really need trees, or should we say that a full modification of get rid of the trees, get rid of the space and put a bike lane there instead?
I don't even know if it's wide enough for bike lane.
Yeah.
John, do you happen to know?
I would have to check to see if there's enough space there for a bike lane. I think that's,
it would need to be a 2-lane bike lane.
I think it's about just shy of 10 feet, I think.
It's not an answer, it has to be addressed now, but that could be a recommendation the committee says.
Or change trees to just small planters, so then it's not something you have to worry about growing extravagantly. It still has a,
Planters are big, trees are this diameter.
well, depending on what kind of
Yeah,
species.
This thing will never get built. I mean, if we can see, I'm not joking about that.
So let's focus on number 2. Go ahead.
So it's like, I actually, like, the proposal makes sense. I think there's more options, like to account for the bike area, that the committee could write in to say, like, think about that.
Yeah.
The committee would support, if the committee would say, we would support not having trees, that's a full modification of the landscaping manual, and the roadway appearance is probably in the master plan, the committee could say that.
Is there a way to get inside the property from top of the picture you're showing here into the parking garage from the back north side without going down the sidewalk? Can they come in there?
Yeah, I mean, you could enter into the garage over here.
So if you had, I mean, you have parking spaces noted on the north
or-
side there.
Or through the plaza area in here where the, bike parking spaces.
Yes, so-
This area as well.
Town Center Boulevard, though, those trees there, So if they were to remain and there's a bike designated painted area on whatever surface that is, that takes them to the back of the garage, is that workable? So they don't go around the street, they go to the back, the north side of the garage and come in that way.
There's no sidewalk, the road's there.
People are gonna go to the point of less resistance. I don't care what's painted there.
So is that a possibility? I'm just asking the question.
I mean, adding signage or
No, a painted area
paint
on
or
the pavement that
or
says, bikes, and it's a green area, and it just
Mhm.
follow that green area to the garage. They don't go down the side of the road. You keep the trees where they are.
Yeah,
If they decide to go down the road, they could do that, I suppose, if they feel comfortable with that.
Mhm.
But those who don't would follow the green pavement.
That'd definitely be a possibility.
Yeah.
John, do you happen to know if the road, so at the top right of this, like the northwestern area, that are cars coming into the garage around the back? And is that going to stay?
We
Or is
created
it
this, we
Yeah.
created this connection so that there was an opportunity to connect the TOD development to this project site. I think the main concern will be, I think at some point in time, when the TOD developer starts developing, they're gonna close this off and close this off and then figure out how they want to connect this space to the garage. But we created this because in the previously progressed Bizzuto approach to this, when they back in 2014, 15, 16, there was a connection to it. Actually you went under the garage to get into the TOD side. So we felt as though continuing connection here would be important. So the main crux for where cars coming in, there's entranceway off of Town Center Boulevard and over here as well. These two main areas are where
So,
we would see
so
most of the cars entering and exiting.
John, the BGE little building there on the north side, was that always there?
No, this is not necessarily a building. It's an enclosure to house the generator and the transformers.
I just don't remember that being there before. Is that a new addition that you added?
Yeah, that's per the request of BG&E.
Does it have to go there?
Yes.
It has to go there.
Yes, they need road access, and they want road access off of Town Center Boulevard.
All right,
No,
well, thank you.
And the main the power, both temporary and permanent, is coming off of a pole that's in this area as well.
I mean, I stand by my concern for bicyclists getting to the train station because, I mean, it's a transit-oriented development, so it should be
Yeah.
multimodal transit. And I am fine with this relief request, knowing that down the line, when we get the TOD development, they better have a solution for bicyclists, because if we're not doing it here, then we're gonna have to do it there. Are there any other questions on this one?
Well, just Colette, the question we're trying to answer now is whether or not we allow the trees to be removed to put a bike path there, or what is it we're trying to answer right now?
I would just note that if we needed to change the plan, then we would need to submit a follow-up modification request, a follow-up set of plans, and undergo another round of review and comment to the site development plan from there, which
I
would
personally do not want to do. I don't know how other folks feel
I
about
think it
that.
can always, I hate to say this, it can be done after the fact if we find that it's a big problem and it can't be addressed. I mean, there aren't bike lanes everywhere. There are cars and bikes that share the road together. I know it's not the ideal
It is
situation.
definitely not the ideal
But
situation.
it's a 20-mile-an-hour road versus, 175 where it's 40 or 50 miles an hour. So it's slow traffic versus being out highway. I'm not saying accidents don't happen.
I don't think that's going to be slim traffic there. That's going to be a lot of traffic there.
Okay, so I move
Thank you,
to
Jason.
recommend approval, that the committee recommends approving this modification.
Wonderful. All in favor? Okay, Martin?
Yeah, I vote against.
Okay, well, we're getting to that. Hang on. I'm just looking for the ayes right now. Excellent, thank you. Anyone opposed? All right,
Me.
thank you, Sandy and Martin. Anyone abstaining? Okay,
Brenda,
motion
what was
carries.
your vote?
I approve.
Approved.
All right, excellent. Okay,
Okay.
moving on. Number 3. These are the overhead utilities.
Yes. And this is just a note that development redevelopment should be used as an opportunity to relocate. So I'm not sure it reads as a requirement, but I read it and it says it should be used as an opportunity to study this. It is something that we did study, and undertaking it, as I mentioned, would be prohibitively expensive and time consuming.
BG&E hates it too, because it's very difficult to repair lines that are buried versus above ground lines.
Do we have any questions on this one, or is there a motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
How, time-wise, do you have any idea how long it will possibly take? I understand the difficulty and everything of moving that, but.
How long did it take what?
To do all to put all of them underground.
5 years? You gotta get BG&E's approval, you'll never get it.
The actual doing of the actual burying of the lines is probably the easiest part, to Stuart's comment. The hardest part will be working in coordination with BG&E's design department to come up with a design approach that they will approve for construction. The other element in working with BG&E, in my experience, has been when you do propose to do an improvement of that manner, they typically will ask for some form of redundancy embedded into the design. So if you're going to, for example, be running 2 conduits, they'll triple it. So you would more than likely not only have to undertake this work, but also add to it additional duct bank work, which would be intrusive to the parking setup that you have currently, would interfere with the bus traffic coming to that space, and be rather time consuming and expensive.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Any other questions on this one?
Just one. Do we know, are those only power poles, or are they data poles and power poles?
These here are data and power poles. There are Verizon coax or other elements fiber running across those. I'm not sure if it's fiber or coax, but there are some Verizon elements running off of these poles in addition to BG&E. And as I mentioned, these poles here that run east-west are medium to high voltage distribution. So the chances of moving those are slim to none.
Does the added data add more coordination required?
Yes.
Okay.
I will just say that this comes up a lot. At least in my mind, we seem to be afraid of BG&E, the cost of any kind of bearing of these lines. Other town centers are able to do it. We don't have the ability to do it here, nor along 175, nor in Odenton. It looks industrial. If we're trying to build a class town center, these lines don't need to be there. Just because if we have a detailed, estimate of what it's going to cost, and if there's funding to provide that support, I don't see anything. I just see a request not to do it because, quote unquote, it's too expensive. So I don't understand why this is always such a big deal when other town centers do it.
Thank you, Martin, for sharing that. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay. Can I get a motion in that case?
I'm not touching this one. I'll motion to approve.
Stuart, can I get a second? Is there a second for the
I'll
motion?
second, because by the time it's built, I won't be around.
Oh,
I
no.
hope so.
Oh, it's been years.
Yes,
All
it
right,
has been.
thank you, Brenda. And the motion is to approve?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, just clarifying. All right, so we have a motion on the table. Can I get votes in favor of the motion? Okay. Any opposed? Thank you, Sandy. Thank you,
Two.
Martin. Great. Anyone abstaining? All right, Abigail. All right, the motion carries. All right, moving on to our solar relief. Are there any questions about this one?
I think this one gives you the best idea of, here you are in the northern facade of the building. You can kind of see a portion of the solar panels from that elevation there.
Point out it's 7:31, so we're past our timing for this, so we need to move relatively quickly. If there are no questions.
That's a lot different than the drawing. I mean, that looks a lot better, so, got it.
Motion to recommend approval.
Thank you,
Second.
Jason. Great. All right. All in favor? Wonderful.
Martin,
Okay.
you better be in favor of this.
This is the
Okay.
Martin
Baby.
request
And
right
then
here.
just on this one, I think it'd be good to put a marker on this requirement, to say like, is this one that needs to be revisited? Because, like, I think it makes sense only in certain cases. And so like, we may need to, I don't know if there's a way to phrase this, because like in this case, it doesn't really make sense to have this requirement even apply on a four-story building. So just things like that, I'm just wondering if there's a requirement to mask the solar panels so you can't see them. Like,
I
it's,
mean, I was hoping they'd put that. No.
like, it's actually a good thing to show that solar panels are there. So is this one that maybe for future discussion, should this requirement be looked at?
In terms of the master plan, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Is that a unanimous, by the way? I saw
Yes,
two
that
online
was-
and
that was
everybody.
unanimous. All right, number 5. This is the setback from Annapolis Road. Are there any questions on this one?
Motion to recommend approval.
Thank you, Jason.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, I'm still opening it up for any questions. Now that we have a motion on the table for discussion, nothing, great. Okay, let's vote. All in favor? All right, we're unanimous. Okay, motion carries, thank you. Number 6. This is the no parking on the street and no dedicated bike lane. Any questions
The
on
one
this?
with the yellow highlight for that? Can I see the map?
No.
This did not have.
Yeah, we did not have an exhibit for this.
Okay, then I.
Yes,
Like-
John went back to the one with the trees to,
Look,
or
we
this
also have a
one.
question about.
This one
the
here,
parking.
though.
I think the
Yes.
parking on the street, it can't fit there, number one, and it's a parking garage.
No, I-
That's when people are parking. I mean,
Yes.
it's
The
just.
parking one is easy.
I'm like,
Yeah,
yay
easy part
for
of this
the
one.
parking,
Yeah.
but, all right, if there are no questions on this, is there a motion?
Motion to recommend approval, but also add that the committee is concerned about the lack of bike access to the parking garage.
Yes.
That's good.
Is there a second? Thank you, Sandy. All right, all in favor? Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, thank you, Martin. All right, motion carries. And then on to our last relief that is being sought. Frontage improvements along Odenton Road. Are there any questions on this one?
I have one question. So the fake windows, is it gonna be possible to paint art inside the fake windows?
No, they do not have glazing in them. They are just the frames and mullions. They're not
Is it-
glazed.
Is it brick or what's a fake
It
window
is,
made
it
of?
is brick from the looks of it, but I will say, so, when in speaking
These
with,
these windows here are just grills without glazing involved. This is just an open space on the northern facade. They would be, we could paint them to give them more dimensionality, but it's basically an inset with this area CMU or bricked up.
so there is also public art that is
Yeah.
essentially on a grid that can be
Yep.
attached to buildings or windows.
Hey, John, can the grids be put in there like the other openings?
There could be, but the concern is that this is not a closed structure. This is actually open. So the concern would be uh, visibility. Well, there'd be light shed from the garage through those openings to the TOD.
No, I wouldn't
If
have it open, I'm just, the grids,
these
just that, yeah,
over here,
yeah. To break up that brick, same color on that side, blank wall.
yeah, we could. I can make a note on that, Stuart.
I think
To
everybody else agrees, I mean,
It's more what Colette said, like you could mount art, like there are options here where this isn't a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal.
All right, so back to number 7. Any questions on this?
Yeah, I'm still a little confused about this one. 7, wait a minute. Yeah,
same comment, but related to this roadway here.
okay, okay.
Use
Yeah, in
this
terms
as
of
an example.
space and Martin, are you clear on that now?
I think so. I thought we were talking about the mural, but I guess we're talking about something else.
No, we're
Uh,
on Odenton.
So there are street requirements or landscaping requirements along Town Center Boulevard, and similar to Odenton Road, which I'm calling Odenton Road right here. So similar, no individual parking, no dedicated bike lanes from that perspective, but this being the way it's designed or showed.
You keep on saying Odenton Road, but Odenton Road is
I'm,
that, is
I
facing
know the Kiss and Ride Drive. This can you see my cursor here?
right,
Yeah,
Okay, the driveway, the marked station driveway.
but that wall's not blank, is it?
no,
The request here is street frontage improvements.
yeah.
So similar to no parking lanes, no dedicated bike lanes or things like that. Same would apply. We're calling it Odenton Road, but that drive-through area where the MARC train is, where the Kiss and Ride currently exists.
I guess I have the same question here, is that there's no dedicated bike lane to get to the station or to the parking. I mean.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
Outside of, traversing this way in or coming in from the back way.
And I think we've already added that as a concern, or that's going to be added as a concern to the letter. All right, so any other questions on this, or can I get a motion?
Motion to recommend approval,
Thank you, Jason, is there a
sustaining
second?
the concern about bike access.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Brenda.
Just as discussion on this a little bit,
Yes,
saying that, we have a concern about a non-dedicated bike lane doesn't mean that they're going to take action on it. So even though it's a statement we're putting in the motion, it doesn't have any requirement. So from that standpoint, it's still a negative for me.
We're an advocate, and right. Thank you, I couldn't say that.
it does mean that there is an opportunity for us to advocate for that in
Correct.
other master plans and.
John, I think the main thing, it needs to be addressed somehow with bike safety. Okay, whether it be signage, whether it be get off your bike and walk it, whether it be access issues, it's a concern of the committee in general, that's all.
Duly noted, Stuart. I did like your idea of the concept from, I believe you said Redondo Beach, where folks on bikes were requested to, jump off their bikes or come off their bikes and walk to their end destination, and or a combination of that and some type of signage or striping for folks who want to walk their bikes as opposed to riding them along the sidewalk. So I'm going to bring that comment back to the design group on my end to see what possibilities we might be able to do from a soft signage or striping perspective.
Yeah, and
I will
also,
say that
John,
it's not very welcoming though, for a place where we want people to come in from outside of Odenton through the train station. And, I mean, that's gonna be difficult if you've got like kids in tow, that you're riding along with.
If folks are coming from the north, we do still have that, the underpass on the northern part of the site.
Are we
So-
gonna install something that brings the bikes up and around? I'm kidding, Mark. I really struggle with my e-bike, taking that up and down there.
Yeah,
I
although-
think you wanted to share something.
Just a quick question to save myself an email. Is the mural in this budget, or is that a future project? The funding for the mural, the potential
We
mural?
thought
on the
economic
garage?
development
Not-
would provide funding for that.
Well, this is why I'm asking, this is why I'm saving myself an email here.
Provide that email, send that email to yourself.
Are we talking about the motion or the mural? I forget where we are.
Oh,
Side.
I would request we go back to my motion.
Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna
I thought
talk
it was
about the
completed.
mural
I'm sorry.
and art next.
Yeah.
But yes, so we do have a motion on the table. All right, any final discussion on it? No, then let's, all in
Just recommend
favor?
approval.
Yes, recommend approval and add the concern about the bike lanes.
Favor.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, anyone opposed? All right, Martin, anyone abstaining?
And Brenda, you were approved?
Okay, all right, so that motion passes. So we are already 10 minutes over, but I know that there were some questions about the proffers. Is there any, like, looking at all of them together, is there any feedback or questions about them?
I had a question about the last one. More clarification, so it was mentioned, the one that had the highlighted, it was like a Y highlight on a map with it. Oh, so maybe it was this last one.
Oh, the dam safety and embankment
Yes,
comments.
So,
This is not a proffer. This is just a noted design change from the last time presented the project to the OTC group here, the committee group
okay,
here.
I thought you said that there's no walkway there and it was there was removing a walkway, and from what I understood.
We had presented in previous versions of the plan bike and pedestrian pathway that connected this space here along this road this way to the garage. And because of the embankment issues noted during our conversations with our civil team's conversations with MDE, we are eliminating that connection from the design due to the fact that there's significant amount of study time and energy that would need to go into confirming the current viability and engineering of those embankments before we could build a bike and pedestrian pathway over it. So we're just highlighting this area as part of the areas of concern that MDE highlighted related to the embankments. So this is more of a noting a design change than anything else.
But John, if you were able,
There's already a pedestrian walkway there, so I didn't understand what you meant that it would be removed unless I'm.
it goes to the.
There is an exist. Can everyone see my little hand here? Yes.
Yeah.
So there is an existing pathway here. We were proposing to regrade that whole entire space and widen and extend a bike and pedestrian pathway from this point all the way to here to the platform, and then all the way down to here. This touching this embankment or making any changes to the grading of that embankment are what MDE flagged as major issues of concern that would trigger a multi-year, my understanding, at least a year-long study to confirm the composition and construction of this embankment. And that's the reason why we were proposing not to do this new any kind of intervention whatsoever, which would include replacing the old smaller walkway or extending that bike and pedestrian pathway further down along this area.
So
Okay,
John,
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't being removed, because I knew there was already a pedestrian way there. So that was my only question on it.
Correct. The intent would be to leave what's in place and put a freestanding accessible ramp temporarily that connects the platform with the temp parking during the time frame that the temp parking is needed while the garage is going up.
John, is that where there's a fence there up near near the track area, the platform area, and that marsh area goes all the way pretty much to the platform. So what they're saying is that if you have to build an embankment there, I can see where that would just be difficult potentially because you have the platform structure there, the piers, whatever else you have to go by. However, if it were possible to do that, to put the bike trail there, that may solve the other problem that we're discussing about having a easy way to get to the parking from the bike with the bikes route. Would that be possible to come through there? They're coming down Town Center Boulevard, they go across and down around the pond. And would the bike racks be in the front, on the east side, or on the west side?
I don't think in reality a biker would go all the way forward to come all the way back.
Agreed.
Well, it depends where the bike racks are. If the bike racks are near the platform, then they'd want to go to the platform.
You're not.
But they're all in the garage, so I don't think they would go all the
the
way forward to go back.
yeah, bike parking is in a cluster, more or less kind of adjacent to where the bus drive-in and drop-off is in this general area underneath the garage. It's a little bit smaller than that, but they're in like a little island cluster right here.
Okay. Abigail, was your question answered? Okay. And we are very quickly running out of time. We still need to take public comment on this. Are there any final questions from the committee on the projects?
Do we have to do anything with that, if you go down to where the master plan one with that north facing wall, is there anything required there for a vote? So.
I was only presenting this for situational awareness purposes because it's a deviation from previous design as presented, with the intent that either we would end up with a smaller mural or some approach that takes some of the elements of the other facades of the garage and applies it to the northern garage facade.
That's what I wanted to. So if you can go back to the slide that actually outlined that in the grid, I think it's up like 2 or 3. Up, like the text grid. Yeah. So okay. So you're saying that this is still within the master plan, not requesting a waiver or modification of the master plan.
We were proposing to request that we have relief from this requirement, and when we mentioned that, we were told that would not be received favorably by the county's review folks, and that we should not include that in our list of relief items. And thus, the approach is to then apply some facade embellishments to that particular facade to bring it into compliance with the requirements of the master plan.
Okay.
And so we're proposing to do some, we're not going to deviate from the other elements that are present on the garage. We're just talking about extending them in some way, shape, or form without openings to that facade. I know Martin mentioned, could we do a mural? If everyone was in agreement of that, sure. If not, then we would just propose taking some of the elements and just wrapping it around to that side. Stuart made a comment about potentially adding grates to that, which we definitely can consider as well. Again, this would be a major deviation from the context that's already there.
You're good for my, I just want to, process-wise, want to make sure that wasn't incorrect.
John, quick question, okay? I asked you this 3 years ago, and I told you when you said you would be done by a certain date, I will buy everybody at the state dinner at Ruth Chris, and this isn't going to be built by the end of the year, is it?
Does that extend this?
No.
Yes, everybody. Okay, so the question is now, what is the revised timing?
If we don't have to, if we follow the pathway right now, we're looking at starting construction in the second quarter of 2026 and completing, sometime in 28.
They will want a shovel there as a selection.
Good point.
So,
Yeah, but
so-
the county is not running.
No, but other people are.
Yeah.
so I can't.
All right, so we do need to move on.
I have a question. I
I'm
don't
sorry.
understand, John, what the resistance is to the mural. I don't understand why they don't see it as favorable. What is,
So, Martin, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that is not part of the the questions that we need to answer as a committee right now. I want to talk about the mural as well. Honestly, I had a whole list of things that I wanted to say about it, but we are very quickly running out of time. We only have 10 minutes left of this meeting and a whole bunch of other stuff to do. So perhaps we can table that discussion, and, you know, maybe we can revisit that again, or send an email to Kaylee, who's gonna be looking for, partners to help with the mural, such as the Arts Council, for example.
Was there a motion on this already?
No, there is no motion on this. We actually need to move on to some public comment on this, and then we need to wrap this up and see if there's anything else that we need to vote on, but we have already taken votes on all of the relief that has been sought.
The overall letter.
Yeah, so we need to do the overall
Proffers,
letter.
right? Did you get a vote on?
Do we need to do a vote on that?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
In that
If
case,
there's any issues with the proffers.
okay, are there any issues with the proffers? Any other questions on this? Okay. Right, can I get a motion then?
I make a motion, properly be accepted. Is that one?
All right, thank you.
Second.
Okay. Martin and Andrew, did you hear Brenda?
Not really, sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry, Brenda, can you repeat that a little louder so that they know what they're
I make a
voting on?
motion that the proffers be accepted as outlined.
Okay. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Who is voting in favor? Okay, great, that motion carries. Sandy, you look like you have a question. No, okay. Is there any public comment on this project or anything that was presented? And I will start with the folks in the room and then move on to anyone that is online. Yes?
I just have a quick question. Are you familiar with the renovation of the train station? And if so, would it be done concurrently with the parking garage construction? Because that would have a problem with the ticket agents who are going to be housed in the old bank building of the Heritage Society, and all of the utilities run between the bank building and the train station. So is the train station renovation going to be done concurrently with the parking garage?
yes, we're in regular communications with the MTA and MDOT related to the renovations of the ticketing station, and are going to be coordinating our efforts from a logistics perspective in coordination with those efforts. And we've already been in touch with the Heritage Society to talk about the bank building and a couple of elements related to the bank building. The project's area of disturbance for connecting utilities will run through that corridor space between the bank building and the ticketing station for a limited period of time. And we are very sensitive to the fact that logistically speaking, there's going to be a lot of communication and a lot of planning and a lot of foresight that goes into that work, both in coordination with the MTA, the Historical Society, the Heritage Society, MHT, and others have made comments. So we'll end up having a consulting archaeologist out when we're working close to the bank building, and we'll be coordinating on a regular basis what the logistics plan will look like as we are in that space. Again, that's for a limited period of time, not for the whole entirety of the garage build, but that's been noted by several parties as area of concern. And that's part of the reason why we're working with the construction team we're working with, who's very familiar with working around active transit locations.
Thank you, John. Right,
Yes.
thank you.
Since we're gonna lose that much parking in 2 years, what is the capacity for overflow?
I believe the county and the state are coordinating leases for temporary parking and shuttle while the garage is being built. I believe there is a temporary parking agreement between the state and county for one-to-one replacement for any displaced parking that occurs while the garage is being built. So I know that there are several temporary parking spot leases that are either being negotiated or have been to address that concern.
And there's a whole other overflow parking lot
nobody uses.
across the street that's always empty.
Do we have any comments from online attendees? Okay. So then I believe we still need to do we still need to vote
Overall,
for overall?
because there were some deviations from what had previously been presented.
Okay. So what specifically does the committee need to take a position on?
Just now, overall, right, is if you're still in agreement, because you have seen this before, I think it is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Just again, recommending approval of the changes that John has noted here, and you've already had your votes on the relief and proffers,
Okay.
so.
All right. Would someone like to make?
So recommend so a motion to recommend that the committee sustain its approval of the parking garage, accounting for all of the votes taken today on the modifications in the proper, with an inclusion of a statement about the concern for bike safety through this entire project, and that needs to be a focus for not only the parking garage, but the TOD development as well.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
All right, thank you. Wait, let's give it to Andrew. Okay. All right. All in favor? Okay. Believe that's everybody. Motion carries. Wonderful. Thank you so much again, John.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time this evening. I hope you have a fantastic evening.
Thanks, John.
Yes. All right, so we have 3 minutes left.
Time better, you appreciate it.
No. Well, and I know that we had a lot of questions on this, and this is the largest project that is really before us right now that is imminent. And so I wanted to make sure that we had extra time. We did have the priority project list on the agenda as well. However, I don't think we're gonna have time today to go through this and discuss. And so we'll be adding that to the agenda for next month.
Mark, is that a problem with timing, or we have to?
He's not happy, but he'll be okay.
Again, it's, we can share, again, this preliminary list with the Office of Transportation and Department of Public Works, recognizing that probably not a lot is changing in your priorities, and then, again, we can just share with them the updated version next month.
Yeah, so I have asked for the budget project numbers to be added to this. I think it's really helpful if we can go back and look at the capital budget to see what is actually supposed to still be funded in the next fiscal year, since our requests for projects are for FY27. Most of these projects do not have funding planned for the out years. And the ones that do are not for areas that are actually in the Odenton Town Center. So I think it is worth having a discussion that's a little bit more robust around how we perhaps organize this list. And it'll give us a little bit more time. I have questions on some of the projects, so I will be emailing those to you, Mark, to look into. And so I invite everyone else, if you have questions on any of the individual projects, to send those out, and perhaps you can send those answers out to everyone, so that we can just sort of have this discussion via email, perhaps, and then make it a relatively quick item on the agenda for next month, unless anyone has a problem with that. So there is some homework. Sorry, guys.
As long as it stays within the open meetings act.
Yes.
So the idea would be
Hence
send me
emailing
your questions or comments, and then I can batch them,
Yeah.
send them back out to you all as BCC and say, here's the 10 questions I received from
Yes.
everyone. Here are the answers.
Yes, and thank you for that point. So, moving on from that, we have advocacy and new business. And I wanted to invite Wiley to share what's coming up this weekend.
This Saturday will be Odenton Day, and Odenton Day is the Odenton Heritage Society, Odenton Volunteer Fire Company, the Odenton Improvement Association together. The Odenton Volunteer Fire Station will be open for anyone to come in and visit. They will have operational demonstrations, they will have health checks and so forth. There will be a shuttle bus from the fire station to the Odenton Heritage Society building, which is the old Masonic building there in Odenton Road. There's a shuttle bus for that. The museum will be open. The Heritage Society will have a table also at the fire station. There will be vendors at the fire station. It's a big day, free hot dogs and sodas and so forth, and games for the kids, and a big day for Odenton. So it's Odenton Day this Saturday, October the 4th.
Thank you.
9 to 2.
9 to 2. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Next month, we are also hoping to have a presentation from Transportation, Office of Transportation, hopefully MDOT.
And I'm not, yep.
Okay, so we can hold some of our comments and feedback that we had on transportation items for that meeting as well. Did you want to say anything about the subcommittee?
Let's hold off on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are working on putting together some thoughts for a subcommittee for the OTCAC to already start looking at the master plan and some of the issues that have come up in the past. So just stay tuned for that. All right, does anyone else have anything to add for new business or advocacy? Wonderful. All right, let's move on to general public comment. So if there is any interest in sharing feedback or thoughts from the public, now is your time. Please raise your hand in person or virtually. Let us know who you are. And please limit your feedback to as quickly as possible. Do you have anything to share, anything additional? No?
I think I'll be out of Marlowe's to be continued.
Okay. Anyone online? No. All right. In that case, I would say we are going to adjourn this meeting. Our next meeting is October 28th, and we'll be back at the Odenton Library. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Brenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Thanks, Stuart. All in favor? All right. Wonderful. Okay. I don't know if Andrew said aye or if he's already out. Great. All right. Meeting's adjourned.